Number 3 of 7, Awful Universe yet Awful University. The goal of this episode is to present the correct interpretation of Bereshit Genesis, verse 1:1. In what follows, I'll try to explain with toys and apples the gist of the creation story as refers to how to carry on in this world to make for a happy ending. Still, I'm no magician. It requires your undivided attention. It's not a pill to take to bed and awake knowing it all, effortless. Let's use common sense as a guide and keep things simple. All new devices out of the box come with instruction manual and warranty dependent on proper usage. In the larger sense, same applies to creation and to our role on the earth. My feeling is that the Torah teaching was meant to be read by the commoner, with or without professional, secular, or religious assistance from rabbis or scholars, respectively, nor from prophets either, since it was already delivered at our doorstep. Additionally, the instruction is not to play with the wording of the original text, not a small matter, given that translation is an interpretation. That said, this doesn't mean that there is no software or hard wiring involved. Quite the contrary. I'll leave the details for consultation in the books Pardecism and The Principle, especially the last one, and limit my discussion to the conclusions for the sake of time. Traditionally, there are three main interpretations of verse 1:1. The Septuagint, or King James Version, mostly within Christianity, and the Old and New JPS, Jewish Publication Society, which puts together the Reformed tradition, and of late, our Paradise, which is grassroots Anusim, descendants of the Jews who were coerced to convert to Christianity back in 1492 and 1494, Spain and Portugal, respectively. With all due respect, but the interpretations of the King James and the JPS are simply not right, and this should be a concern. For, like a defect in the state of the cornerstone, the social edifice built on it will lead to cracks showing up and its eventual downfall. Let's follow the timeline of interpretations. Let's start with the Septuagint King James Version, which is the one I actually first learned back in my days in Catholic elementary and middle school. Please see accompanying slide. Basically, the King James says that GD made the universe. Plain vanilla. Literal meaning and not much else, unfortunately. Now we proceed with the old JPS translation of verse 1:1. In passing, I must mention that everywhere in the Torah teaching, it says not to add or detract a single iota from the original text. It's all there for a reason, and it's our job finding out what it is. Better to confess not knowing than it is to translate something with a wrong interpretation. Next, we now state the new JPS translation of verse 1:1. Please see accompanying slide. The same applies to the new JPS. Don't do good things that look bad, but worse still is to do bad things that appear good. This can be misleading. Suffice to look around the broken world of our own making. Basically, the JPS says the same thing, that GD is the creator of the universe, but does it in a roundabout way. Finally, we arrived and state outright the correct translation of verse 1:1 by Paradise. Please see accompanying slide. Herein, I have been as true to the text as I understand the grammar. It's probably in need of refinement, but that will be the job of rabbis and scholars far above my pay grade. However, the point being that the very first opening sentence is unique, a singularity, and should be given special treatment, as distinct from the second sentence onward. Herein lies the gist, as we'll clearly see later on. This is precisely what the other interpretations don't do, and by not doing, miss the takeaway altogether. It's like a child sucking the mother's colostrum, first word uttered by a child, or first time of anything in general. It's about getting it right. It's building up till it suddenly overflows, the drop that spills the glass, and therein lies a take-home message without which we simply lose the right entrance to the maze and are lost forever, wandering in circles, as is the case with civilization nowadays. Now, let's put them all next to each other for ease of comparing and contrasting. Please see accompanying slide. At this point, we're halfway done. The virtue of the King James Version of 1:1 is its simplicity, that GD made the universe, but the price paid is more than one bargained for. While the old and new JPS aren't as straightforward, they're still simple to understand, though the thought is stretched out in 3 stages with introduction 1:1, intermission 1:2, and finale 1:3. But other than that, they're similar in that the admission price is the same of oversighting the takeaway of the teaching to humanity of how to carry onwards the Maseh Bereshit, work of creation. The oversight is precisely paradise. This is no small matter by the look of things crumbling down around us since as far back as memory will take us. This is precisely the greatest advantage of the Paradise version over the previous established 3. This one provides us the principle to care for the world. However, the downside of our version is that as it stands, it is of little use. It simply doesn't make much sense, apparently at least. We still need to crack open the shell to make any sense of it. The thing is that in the cracking of the shell is the outcome kernel itself. In the means is the end sought after. What we'll do is first provide a table of correspondences and then upload the data to our familiar user-friendly visual layout. As mentioned at the outset, we'll skip the arguments and solely state the conclusions, leaving the viewer the homework of consulting the text and the other videos to fill in the missing steps. Please see accompanying slide. Once we've properly identified the triad parts and the one whole as triad parts PRD and one whole S, everything after this is smooth sailing. Now we move from the left brain table of correspondences to the right brain seat model representation of square having an ellipse and inside it in turn a right triangle. In other words, the correct interpretation has to be seen like a school foldable consisting of 4 parts, blending with shared insertions as shown in the following. Please see accompanying slide. That is, verse 1:1 is such that its 4 constituent parts comprise one whole. It is an acronym, like a school foldable consisting of 4 parts. 1:1a in beginning of, 1:1ac in beginning of created Elohim, 1:1bd created Elohim language, 1:1cg Elohim is language with the heavens and dialogue with the earth. That is, 1:1a is Peshat literal first person, 1:1a to c is Remes allegorical second person, 1:1b to d is Derash homiletical third person, and 1:1cg is all fourth person. Now for the skeptical, the icing on the cake. Mention has been made of the takeaway, the principle without which we will be at a loss as to how to put together the pieces in the box of creation, as well as the whole purpose of the gift, come to think of it. This is straightforward as well in that there are 613 mitzvot, commandments, all the while one single mitzvah, commandment, precisely the paradise principle of recivilization. Please see accompanying slide. We have to leave it there. Please continue viewing the following episodes for the complete movie. I have the calling to serve, the message of paradise to disseminate, and the mission of recivilization in America to realize. Entra de la bola, no seas canica. Keep weird, folks. U.S. Senate, Texas 2020, and the Nobel Peace Prize as soon as possible. In a nutshell, it's either paradise world right now or else hell of dualism on earth from now to eternity. Yours truly, Rick, and GD bless.